through what we should be expecting out of President Biden's visit to Angola today. What's on the agenda?
Yeah, Jumana, good morning to you. We are here in Luanda, 5 a.m. here. Listen, today in many ways is about the symbolism as much as it is about the business. Now, we saw President Biden arriving here in Luanda yesterday. He was greeted by the foreign minister, Tete Antonio. We didn't get to see the president of Angola last night. So as you were mentioning, the expectation is really that we will finally see President Lourenco. President Biden will hold a bilateral meeting with the president. And then after that, he will actually make some remarks at the National Museum of Slavery. And I mention that because Angola, of course, traditionally and back decades ago, was a major hub for transatlantic slave. And so many in the diaspora actually see this as very symbolic and key to Biden cementing his legacy for him to be at least acknowledging the past U.S.-Angola relationship and what the future could hold. And then really, it is about the business. It is about what is really anchoring this trip, which is the Lobito Railway. You mentioned a little bit about how the infrastructure investment has really been key to what the U.S. has been focused on here, and that is what we will see. We will see the key stakeholders, and I'm talking about President of Zambia. We'll also see the President of Angola, and also a number of private stakeholders involved in the discussions around the current commitments and the future commitments to this Lobito Railway and this refurbishment. And we should note that this is very significant for a number of reasons, mainly because we actually see Congo and Zambia expected to hold at least 10% of the world's copper and cobalt deposits. And so this is key for the transition, and this is really why we're seeing the U.S. investing multi-billions of dollars into the refurbishment of this. But of course, it is about Angola and what they're hoping to get out of it. So that's what we're going to wait to hear from later today.
So in the last hour, we were looking at a chart of Angola's trading partners, and we will show that now. But essentially, the trade that it does with China is about 10 times as much trade as it does with the U.S., at 22 billion odd versus 2 billion with the United States. So it seems as though it's going to be, there's the chart, it seems as though it's going to be very difficult for the U.S. to actually counter China's influence in sub-Saharan Africa, obviously in Angola, and the situation to the extent that is required.
Yeah. You know, Jumana, we actually posed that question yesterday. We spoke to the transport minister about this in particular because, yes, Angola has a long history with China. We've seen investments, of course, from China into this country. We're walking around and we can see the influence no matter where you go. But when we spoke to him, we talked to him really about what the future holds for some of the contracts that they're looking to engage with other partners. And they say, yes, it is about the U.S. Of course, this trip is about the U.S., but they're also engaging with people from all over, from South America to Europe to the Gulf even. And so their focus, and really they are saying they are willing to work with any and all private players as they try to expand their own privatization efforts of the infrastructure here. Part of that is the Lobito Railway. We also talked to the Angolan transport minister about privatizing their state-owned airline. And so this is a bigger push by them. They say there's no sides that they are choosing, and hopefully this just welcomes more and more private players and public players, hopefully, to invest in this country and see that this country is investable.